Thanks for calling me back. Yes, yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare dealing with this situation because the council tax people wanted to speak to Talib, but Talib doesn't speak English, um, and obviously he was not. In order to pass security, he would not have been able to provide his authority because obviously he doesn't understand what's going on um, to give that authority. So we were having some problems just trying to get his authority over the telephone. But then the lady said, because it's in your name, you can we can deal with you. So obviously, I explained to them that it shouldn't be in my name and it should be solely in Talib's name, because obviously I'm his care, like lived in carer and stuff, and I'll be qualifying for exemption or disregard. So they've then put me to the disregard team, and the disregard team were telling me that I need to write to them to explain why it should be solely in Talib's name and not in joint names, and also they wanted to know what benefit he's on, um, and I couldn't tell him that because I don't know what benefits he's on or how much he's getting. And I explained to them that he has a financial deputy in place who should be dealing with this, and they said, "Well, that's nothing to do with us." And I explained that it's the council that's the financial deputy, and they said, "Well, if that's the case, then the financial deputy needs to get in touch with us or somebody else." But he was trying to explain to me that his role is very limited. He's on the disregards section of the council, and he can send out some forms, but like obviously, we're not like we couldn't proceed any further because in order for him to be like disqualified or get an exemption or get a reduction, they're gonna need to know what benefits he's on.
Right.
And unfortunately, obviously, I don't have that information at hand. And when we spoke yesterday, I was explaining to you that we don't even receive his P60 of how much he gets on benefits. So um, how can I proceed with this?
Do they need to know the actual amount of benefits, or just what benefit, like ESA or things like that, or universal credit?
Well, I'm not sure because they just said we need to know. You need to get evidence to us what benefits he's on.
Yeah.
Um, because obviously I presume that all the benefits they're not variable, are they? I mean, like for example, they were asking me, is he on a higher rate care component of disability? Which I believe he
Right.
is, and that'll be fixed amounts, isn't it? But right now I don't know what benefits he's on. So
Do you not get any letters there from benefits?
no, we don't. Obviously, that's the situation. You see, I mean, he was living in Oldham for the time period, and then he was obviously living here since February 2022, and and subsequently, so I've not received any indication of his benefit because the last time that I know what benefits he was on, it was prior to 2016, because obviously I was his appointee then, DWP appointee. That got taken away from me to give it to Adalat, and subsequently, obviously, yourselves have it. So I don't even know what benefits he's on, or or anything regarding his money.
What did they say about whose name it's in?
Well, yeah, that's it. They said that he gives it. I'm not in the billing department, and you need to write to the billing department to like explain to them why it should be like not in both your names, because obviously I've tried to explain that like just in my previous circumstances is that I'm here providing care, and you're as a living carer, you're exempt from council tax, and obviously the only person that would be qualifying for council tax purposes is my brother, who's obviously somebody has to be entitled to the council tax, and also it's just a bit of a grey area because ordinarily council tax liability is only on the person who owns the property, or is like if Talib had a tenancy in place, then it would be
Hmm.
clear cut that look, obviously he's a tenancy holder, and he's liable. Because we're in this grey area, and that question has not been really resolved because we don't have a tenancy here. So it's just a bit like I said, it's all a bit difficult. Can you understand, Mr. Browell? Even getting just consent for him over the telephone is problematic. And I don't mean to be problematic or obstructive, but unfortunately, it's just the circumstances that he in order for him to give consent, he has to be able to understand things, and he's not able to give consent over the telephone when obviously he doesn't speak the language.
I
Uh,
think though it's a bit difficult sometimes because they've obviously got to make sure that the person's there and still alive, basically,
yeah,
because they've got to hear the person's voice. So I don't know exactly the details, but generally, even when there's people with mental health conditions that have supported and there might be language difficulties, they just need to hear the person say who they are, even if that can be translated, and say that yes, that's them. But
but
I understand what you're saying, but I think sometimes, obviously if that hasn't worked, how did they leave it then? Is there still the summons in place, or?
well, with regard, let me just address that first question that you said. I mean, can you understand that we tried? He tried to get a capacity assessment carried out on the telephone. They tried to get a translator, and obviously that was problematic. Now, in relation to, they don't just need to hear a voice; they need somebody to confirm the name. They need to confirm over the telephone that you're authorizing. Obviously it needs to be there, like past security, so they might ask him questions like his date of birth, where he's living, and so on and so forth, and that's problematic. Simply because he won't speak to people on the telephone, or I'm having difficulty speaking to him and getting him to respond to certain things myself, and I speak the language and I know him really well, and I just know how problematic that would be. You can, like obviously you've not met Talib you've not met Talib, and I live with him, and I just understand that that would be really really problematic in order to just get him to give consent for somebody else. And those are some of the problems that we were having, and it's just obviously distressing for Talib to deal with this, and obviously it's distressing for myself. I mean, obviously under these circumstances, we just can't. And I was on the call. I'm sure you was on the call as well. How long were you on the call for? To the
I
council?
was on hold for about 10 minutes or something now.
Yeah, yeah. So we were on the hold for 20 minutes, and when we got through, it was it's just basically like trying to beat a dead donkey in my opinion, because it's like really difficult to get anything out of Talib, and obviously that's why it's important for him to. Previously, he had an appointee. You see, the DWP appointee would be authorized to act on his behalf, and that obviously has been taken away from us. And obviously there's a financial deputy in place. So how we've left it is they've told me that we're gonna send out some letters in relation. I mean, basically they said don't worry about the summons. You don't need to attend court, but it's still owed, and we will still be proceeding to get the or liability order. But in order for you to get an exemption, you need to obviously fill. In order for me to be exempt, I need to fill in some form explaining, I'm a carer, and and I also need to write to them saying I should not be liable for the council tax. And I could do that if I can say, well, the tenancy is in my brother's name, because that's what I've been trying to achieve. And obviously, I'll deal with that myself. But in relation to Talib, they said that obviously, if he's got he needs to get the financial deputy to contact us, to get. So I mean, it was not straightforward, you see. So the main thing is they told us, like, obviously we're still liable, and you don't need to attend the summons. Uh, but obviously, going forward, I would be like to be in a position where you're authorized to deal with, but I don't understand why you need to be authorized, because the council's already got the authority. See, this is where I was saying things, and you're saying you were like exasperating, say I'm not dealing with this last night or today. Is that the local authority is the legal entity. So the legal entity is in charge of his finances now. So
They still, that doesn't mean they still need that authority to speak with me. I can't say, I work for council as well.
yeah,
As
yeah.
well as a bit of information.
I know. No, that's fine. But can you understand? You may not be authorized, but the financial deputy can authorize you, because the
Yeah,
financial.
no, I can find out about that. So you're going to send a letter to him about how you should be exempt. there isn't the third party authority then at the moment then for me to speak with them, or is there?
No, but that third party authority must be provided by the They told me that the financial deputy needs to get in touch with the council.
Right.
So rather than you getting in touch with the council tax people, would you be able to get in touch with the financial deputy and forward on all the issues regarding the council tax and stating that obviously this is some. I mean, obviously I'm taking my time to deal with an issue that's been created by yourselves, and obviously the financial deputy needs to contact the council tax people and explain to them that they're the financial. I mean, look, if you want to take up the council want to take up the responsibility of managing his finances, then why is Talib having to deal with this issue? It should be the financial deputy, because that's what's happened in the past. Because in my mum's case, the financial deputy dealt with all like bills and a utility provision and council tax issues, and so they're the qualifying person. They didn't ask my mum's permission at any time once there was a financial deputy in place. So it's just I'm obviously getting confused and exasperated, just like you are, Mr. Browell, because the reality is that if you have a financial deputy in place, like for example, if I'm the Talib's appointee or lasting power of attorney holder, Talib does not need to deal with any of this stuff. I'll deal with it because that's my responsibility now. But now that you are the financial deputy, the council is not even the. I mean, did you get in touch with the financial deputy regarding this matter?
I think I've mentioned it. But I'll send them an email. I'll say where we're at with it, and I'll wait to hear what their response is, and see if they're able to kind of speak with them. No, that's fine. So the summons, they're going to send out some more letters. The summons, not to worry about the summons, and then I'll ask for the financial deputy to see what they say, whether they can do anything and speak with council tax. Is that all right?
Yeah, if you can ask if they can speak to the council tax, but obviously, alternatively, we do need to be given some information regarding what benefits he's on. I don't think that's obviously the argument being made by the council is that we don't want to tell you how much money we've accumulated. All right. And I can understand why they would have that situation, because obviously I would then say, well, why are you accumulating such amount of money and so on and so forth. But I don't think it's right that Talib, like you said, he's still a private citizen, and he needs to be at least told what benefit he's on. In the meantime, obviously in the background, I'm contacting regularly the DWP, who are equally refusing to engage with me now, and I've raised a complaint with them that I was the DWP holder for my brother Talib, and how did that get removed and given to Adalat, and they're not responding to me as yet. So obviously, we're in this like very grey area, and it's very, very difficult, because Talib, obviously he does not want to engage with anybody, and he needs somebody to take on that responsibility. Ideally, the person to take on that responsibility is myself, which I have been doing in the past. But because of the new circumstances that have been created, it just requires, it's just a bit more complex now, because the local authority are basically saying, well, we want to take charge of the money, we want to control the money, and we want to make decisions regarding the money that are in our interest, but they're not taking up any other responsibility. So obviously I don't want to take too much of your time. I've taken up a lot of your time yesterday. I think we've run the call for about 3 hours. I don't want to take up more of your time. Are you working from home today?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't want to take too much of your time today, Mr. Browell. All I would ask you to do is, in regards to this council tax issue, please can you liaise with the financial protection, the financial deputy, ask them to liaise with council tax, and also to inform Talib what benefits he's on, because we don't know what benefits he's on. Okay.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, did you say about this proposal? We've not received anything as yet, because the last time we spoke was, I think, on the 16th of May, and you said you were going to write out to us. Or could you try to resolve some of these issues?
Yeah, I will be doing. I'll send. I know we spoke about maybe the need or the lack of need for it to be translated, but I think I'll still be kind of requesting for it to be translated, and then so yeah, it's probably going to be another couple of weeks really until that gets sent out, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll send it out, and then chat with Talib about it and see where we go from there. If that's all right, Shazad.
Yeah, that's fine. Just with regards to the email issue, I mean, I'm just slightly concerned that, you know, obviously you're not in contact with me by email, but if I'm sending you emails, did you find out if they've been screened?
No, I haven't been able to speak with anyone about that yet. No.
Okay, and are you sure you're not receiving my emails from last week?
No.
Okay, please can you look into this as well, because obviously I sent that email to obviously numerous people, and I've sent it to numerous people in, you know, carbon copied them in, because obviously I don't know who the decision maker is. I've written it to everybody else as well, and it's just surprising that, you know, that nobody's received. I mean, you know, it's not been received. So if you can look into that, and hopefully we can speak sometime next week.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Browell, thank you very much. Goodbye.
All right, thanks, Shazad. Cheers, see you, bye.